Medical Intuitive Insights with your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, is a program that presents topics on medical intuition, holistic opportunities outside of mainstream society, and scientific research as applied today. Topics range from online intuitive readings to interviews unveiling alternative healing modalities and discussing them with inspirational leaders. Dr. Warren is the bridge within holistic arts while stressing the balance between the spiritual and physical self. So now, please welcome the host of Medical Intuitive Insights, Dr. Gloria Warren.
What if pain is not the enemy but a messenger? Why do so many people still suffer even when they are on medication? And what if the most powerful pain management strategies are the ones we are not being told about? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren, and today we're diving into a subject that affects nearly every human being on this planet at some point in their lives. Pain. But not just pain management. Today's topic, pain management options beyond the prescription pad. So let's first explore acute versus chronic pain, pharmaceutical approaches. We'll get more into neurological. What is actually pain? How is it actually processed in the brain? Then we'll get into more of the holistic methods as well. So in this segment 1, what is pain really? We're going to take a look at a couple slides real fast. But pain is not just sensation, it's a neurological interpretation. So as we bring up those slides, let me bring it over. And here we go. So in this situation, there are different types of things, such as the delta fiber, different types of fibers, and the limbic system is involved. But let me just explain what we're actually discussing. Tissue injury activates nociceptors. When you get hurt, whether it's a cut, burn, strain, or inflammation, your body has special danger sensors called nociceptors. Think of these as little tiny buttons in your fingertips and arms and legs and everywhere else. Delta fibers transmit sharp pain. So that's what delta fibers are. I mean, we could go in more detail. That's more for the boot camp that I give, and this is going to be on pain management. It's a whole section on pain management in my boot camp that I provide. So we're just going to go over some of the basics, though, because there's so much out there that people are unaware of. I just felt it's necessary to do this. Fibers that transmit aching pain. Fibers carry C fibers, that is. So now we have the C fibers for aching pain, and they carry a slow pain signal. The limbic system influences how pain feels. So it's more important is the part, it's not just physical, it can be emotional. Part of your brain called the limbic system connects pain with fear, stress, memory, past experiences. Stress can make pain worse. Anxiety can increase pain intensity. Feeling safe can reduce pain, though. And your brain doesn't just measure pain, it interprets it. So the simple summary for this slide is pain has 3 parts. The body, which is the injury or inflammation, the nerves, the signal transmission, the brain, the interpretation, and the brain is influenced by stress and the outer environment. That's why pain management is not just about medication, it's about calming the nerve system, reducing inflammation. Next slide, please. So here you have a picture of those 3 areas. So signals travel up the spinal cord to the brain. Once the pain signal is triggered, it travels from the injury to the nerve, to the spinal cord, and to the brain. All right, and then the brain decides how intense the pain feels and what to do about it. Pain is not just something that happens in your body, it's something in your brain. And people tend to forget that part of the equation. First, you feel a sharp pain, that's the fast fibers, then you feel a dull ache. And that's those slow fibers. Those signals travel up your spinal cord to your brain, and here's how the powerful part, the brain decides how intense that pain feels. It looks at the stress level, your sleep, your inflammation, there's that word again, even emotional state. And that's why stress can make pain worse. You got high anxiety, you're going to feel that pain much, much worse. So I just wanted to show you the diagram so you can see how that actually works. Thank you very much. And we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program here. So now you understand how pain actually travels through from the area of which you may be injured or you feel the pain, and how it goes up through your spinal column and into your brain. You've seen what area of the brain and how that reacts. You know, pain can go work both ways too, but yes, it's mostly from the peripheral, goes into the spine to the brain. So these signals travel through the peripheral nerves into the spinal cord and then the brain, particularly the thalamus, the somatosensory cortex, and the limbic system. And here's the important part. Pain is filtered through emotion, stress, and inflammation. This is why two people with the same injury can experience very different levels of pain. I know when I have a lot of pain, if I keep busy, I don't even think of the pain. But if I sit down, I develop a little anxiety towards that pain, and then it seems to be amplified, and then I really feel that pain. So, you know, when you're trying to deal with pain, there's alternatives that you can do to decrease the pain as well. But first, let's get into what's the difference between acute pain versus chronic pain. I remember a doctor asked me once, which one do you think is worse, acute pain or chronic pain? And it was very subjective for the patient. So he definitely led to the acute pain because usually that's something sudden and it affects the brain quickly and on the spot. And that's it, from nothing to this, you know. So he felt it was much more of a problem, especially in the patient, because you can deal with shock and things like that. So acute pain is protective, short term. That's usually short term, associated with injury or illness, car accidents, you know, hurting, breaking a leg, something, and revolves around healing. So there's a process, the swelling, and then swelling may start to go down, and the healing starts. As soon as it starts to swell, the healing starts to take place. There's chronic pain. This lasts more than 3 or 6 months. It often persists after tissue healing. Association is with the central sensitization. So it's broader what you're dealing with and becomes a nervous system disorder. Chronic pain is not just ongoing injury. It is a nervous system dysregulation. So the nervous system role, that's very important when you discuss pain, because this is what can change your pain level and your thresholds. In chronic pain, you're dealing with those, they call it NMDA receptors that become hypersensitive. So you ever have pain and then you don't realize it as much, but you sit down and then you notice it more, just like I was saying, you become more hypersensitive. And those receptors are tiny volume control switches in the brain that help transmit pain signals. When they become hypersensitive, they turn the pain signal up too high, even when the original injury has healed. Think of it like a microphone that is stuck on maximum volume. Oh gosh, that would be scary. This is one reason chronic pain can continue without new damage. So the glial cells become activated. Definition: glial cells are support cells in the nervous system that normally help protect and nourish nerve cells. When they become activated, they act like internal alarm systems and release inflammatory chemicals. So not good. If they stay activated too long, they can keep pain pathways turned on. In simple, they go from helpers to amplifiers. You also deal with cytokines. They increase, and cytokines are the chemical messengers. Hey, we're feeling pain over here, used by the immune system, of course. When cytokines increase, especially inflammatory ones, they make nerves more sensitive to pain. It's like things that are in the fight or flight, you may be more sensitive, but there's other things that are involved with that too. But more cytokines means stronger pain signals. They're part of the body's healing response. But too many for too long can worsen pain. The myelin integrity may degrade. You know, we went into that in our other show where I talk about the myelin sheath and memory in your brain on the axon of the neuron. Very important. information. You really need to look into that. The myelin sheath can be disrupted. The myelin is the protective coating around the nerve fibers. Think of it as the coating around electrical cords. It helps electrical signals travel smoothly and efficiently. If the myelin becomes damaged or degraded, nerve signals can become irregular, misfire, or oversensitive. So this can contribute to nerve pain or abnormal sensations. Think of myelin like insulation, and you got to keep it healthy as well. So that's why I said look at my other show on the myelin sheath. Stress hormones amplify signaling. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released when the body feels threatened. In short bursts, they are helpful, especially because if you're in a fight or flight, and let's say you're at war or something, and these can help you so you don't feel the pain. But it can also hurt you because if you don't feel the pain, you can injure yourself further. So it's a win-win or not win. It all depends on the situation. But when stress is chronic, these hormones increase inflammation. They heighten nerve sensitivity and lower pain tolerance. I've known some clients like that. It's really sad, but we'll get into that too when we discuss medications. This means stress can literally make pain feel stronger. Your nervous system must feel safe for pain to decrease. So when pain becomes chronic, the brain's volume control turns up. That's the NMDA receptors we mentioned, or I mentioned. So we don't want that volume control turned up, obviously. Support cells inflame the system. That's glial activation. So inflammation can be very good. It helps you heal, but can also put more pressure on nerves. So those are things that if somebody came to me, I need to discuss and go a little more into detail. Immune messengers increase, and those are the cytokines we had mentioned as well. Nerve insulation, the myelin sheath, it weakens. It can become frayed or deteriorate or thinned. So sometimes the regular conduction through the axon in that neuron can actually get lost into other areas of the brain rather than making you sometimes lose track of your memory a bit, or you have trouble thinking from one point to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's why, because the myelin sheath is allowing the electricity to go out in other areas. The same thing with an electrical cord. Stress keeps everything amplified. Yep. But long-term is not good. Pain becomes a loop. Even when I talk about things that run through your mind psychologically, and let's say you're on a hamster wheel and you're going around and around and around, something's really bothering you, and just stop it. Stop it. Stop allowing your brain to do that. That's why even pain, you need to stop it, and there's ways you can do it. The loops can be interrupted, and you can get up, jump around, or move your arms around if you can't get up. And there's always something that can be done. Pain becomes that loop, and the body learns pain at a greater depth, and that's not healthy for your brain. It's not healthy for your body. It's not healthy for your pain threshold. Anything learned can potentially be unlearned. That's the main point with that. This episode is brought to you by Self-Sustainability Bootcamp, a 10-part scientific series designed to empower you with knowledge about clean food, clean water, clean home environments, survival physiology, environmental toxicology, and the list goes on. And one of the things is all about pain. And we get more in depth on holistic methods, Ayurvedics, and things of that nature, and Qigong, which is fantastic for pain, even yoga, fantastic for the mind and the body and everything when it comes to pain. Wonderful things there that we can deal with. So pain management options beyond the prescription pad is what we're talking about today. Join us. Become one of the environmental health advocates. Only 7 days left for the free remote introductory bootcamp event, March 11th, 8 p.m. Central. So text now to reserve your seat. It's free. Call 715-892-6304. When we return, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will go over conventional pain management. We'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren. Before the break, we discussed how pain becomes neurologically embedded. Now let's talk conventional medical pain management. NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So I'm sure everybody's aware of these. They're ibuprofen, naproxen sodium. There's even aspirin as an NSAID. So they reduce prostaglandin synthesis. This is a process your body uses to make prostaglandins, chemical messengers that promote inflammation, pain, and swelling after injury. They reduce that, okay? They reduce those chemical messengers that promote inflammation. So it's helpful for inflammatory pain, especially acute, in other words, sudden onset of pain from an injury or something. Fantastic for those situations if, of course, check with your medical professional. Many people cannot take these type of drugs. They're blood thinners. They can cause internal bleeding or whatever if your platelet count is low. And that's the reason why it's important to check with your medical professional from time to time. Are they helpful? Yes, but the limitations are GI irritation, kidney stress. They may actually make your kidneys work a little harder to excrete some of the extra fluid that was caught up in that inflammation. But then you can become a little dehydrated because when it starts to wear off, your body will actually start to create that inflammation because inflammation promotes healing. So your body may start doing it and maybe dehydrate your blood volume. And that can run into problems too. So you got to be careful how you take them. It's not just take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning, okay? Cardiovascular risks, high blood pressure, blood clots, because when you decrease that blood volume, you can end up with some blood clots. So you may, if you take a couple aspirin, after 4 hours or 5 hours, take just one or a half of one just to kind of wean your body off of it. It can cause a heart attack because of that. Once your blood volume drops, then you can actually lead yourself to a heart attack and even a stroke because of blood clots. There's 2 kinds of strokes though, but the blood clot type. Heart failure can worsen because without enough blood volume, that is dehydration in the blood, it makes it harder for your body to pump things through. So the prostacyclin, PGI2, or PGL2, it protects blood vessels and reduces clotting, where the thromboxane promotes clotting. Some NSAIDs reduce protective prostacyclin remember that protects the blood values and reduces clot. It reduces it more than the thromboxane. So you can end up with greater blood clotting 4 hours or 6 hours after you've taken one of those NSAIDs. So that's a problem, especially with I'm noticing with younger people nowadays, because they think aspirin's just willow bark, and it's not. It does affect the body. I'm a neurologist as well, not just an epidemiologist and all that other stuff. It does, everything affects something, okay? It's there. There's always, you got to keep things in balance. You need to promote vasoconstriction, increase platelet aggregation, increase thrombosis risk. Over time, this may increase the risk of cardiovascular events. That is to say, it's not what you want to do, it's what it does, and that's not good. So there's another alternative, acetaminophen. I'm sure everybody has been on that from time to time. It works centrally in the brain. It's not anti-inflammatory, though. It's only in the brain. It's not going to do anything at the site. So hepatic toxicity risk is high in high doses. Or, not just high doses. I knew somebody, they were taking it every 4 hours, a high, like 2 500 milligram tablets every 4 hours for like 2 years. And then they wondered why they had lesions in their liver and they were getting like a cirrhosis type situation. Not good. Minimalist. Only take as needed. That's what I believe. Check with your medical practitioner, see what they want you to do according to everything else. Now there's opioids too. The opioids bind to the mu opioid receptors, and by doing that, they reduce pain perception. It increases the dopamine release. So it's not just something that works on the pain, it also increases the dopamine release to make you feel better or make you less conscious to where you can notice the pain. So the risks are the tolerance. You can become very addicted to these type of drugs over time, and it doesn't take much time to become addicted to them, become dependent on them. Respiratory depression, not good, because with that, you can end up with too much CO2 in your lungs, and it can lead to other problems. There's also increased sensitivity over time with these type of drugs, so you can't just stay on them all the time. This is critical, though. Chronic opioid use can increase pain sensitivity. So if I stab my hand with a pen and I start on opioids, and let's say I do this later on, I may not feel that stabbing as much if I redo it or something, or something crazy, of course, in my mind. But that is not good, because it's not going to work for you like it used to. It actually will dull your senses, but at the same time, when you feel the pain, it's not going to help. So, and then we have now antidepressants and anticonvulsants used for neuropathic pain. Something dealing with the nerves, the central nervous system, even the peripheral nervous system. You have inflamed nerves or something. They give you, there's duloxetine and gabapentin. They alter the neurotransmitter modulation. Just keep in mind that these two, they're effective in my fibromyalgia, diabetic neuropathy, and nerve injury. For most, not everybody, most. However, they can also have a negative effect in those areas as well. Now we have steroid injections. Many people, they get steroid injections in their knees and whatnot. My personal opinion, try to do everything you can before you get any other medication put in. You may need that to function, but using some red light laser can rebuild up that meniscus, which medical research has proven that it can rebuild the meniscus in your joints, so it can help joints. But steroid injections deliver anti-inflammatory medication directly into a painful area to reduce swelling and calm irritated nerves. I've seen it work wonderfully. It is an option out there for people that want it. They're also now doing nerve blocks. I noticed my mother, she had an injection in the scalp to a Botox, believe it or not, that stopped a pain in her face. They've got all this down, and it is helpful if necessary. And it's the she definitely needed it. There was nothing else working for her, so some option. There's also radio frequency ablation. I had somebody mention this to me the other day. I wanted to put it in the show. It uses controlled heat to disrupt small pain transmitting nerve fibers, reducing chronic pain signals. So keep it in mind, it's there. There's spinal cord stimulators that are put in. Devices send mild electrical impulses through the spinal cord to modify how the brain receives the pain signals. There's the steroid injections, where there are steroids actually within those injections, may cause temporary pain at the injection site. But there's an infection risk, and tissue weakens with repeated use. Even can cause elevated blood sugars. So nerve blocks, I know some people get these when they want to deliver a baby. It can cause temporary numbness, weakness, and carry small risk of bleeding, infection, or accidental nerve injury. Radio frequency ablation risks may lead to temporary soreness, numbness, or rarely unintended nerve damage. Spinal cord stimulators can produce infection, device malfunctioning, lead movement, or anything else needing for revision surgery. So if you're interested in how inflammation drives chronic disease, self-sustainability boot camp, the 10-part series. Yes, we are here, designed to empower you with knowledge about clean food, clean water, clean home environment, survival physiology, environmental toxicology. And definitely there's at least 10 parts. There's another part there too that isn't listed. I'm not going to list them all. If you're interested, give me a call. And just remember, when you reduce inflammatory load, you reduce pain signaling. So get the swelling down. You can reduce the signaling of pain in your brain to make the pain seem to be less. So a lot of people would ask me then, well, how do you get the swelling down? Well, you can alternate ice and heat. Ice takes down the swelling, but heat makes it heal faster. So I always suggest ask your physician first, or your medical practitioner, whoever you decide. Self-sustainability is about you taking control over yourself. So what I would suggest is, with my family and everything else, I always say ice the first 24 to 48 hours, depending on the injury. If it gets too cold, you want to put a little heat on it, that's up to you. If it's an internal organ, usually I find that heat works a little better than ice when it's an internal organ, like pancreatic pain or something of that nature. But, ice is always an alternative for that as well. Again, an injury, break a finger, throw some ice on that right away so you can make sure it's set. And it will also make sure that the swelling doesn't increase too far in the meantime. But remember, you always want a little swelling to have it heal faster. So, in general, we learn, if you join us, you can become an environmental health advocate in your family, your friends. That's the boot camp. Learn how toxic exposure and chemistry and stress influence pain pathways. The free remote introductory boot camp is next Wednesday, March 11th at 8 p.m. Central. Seats are limited. This is a free introductory program. So text now to reserve your seat. 715-892-7500. 715-892-7500. Keep it in mind. We are going to take another commercial break. Stay with us. We're about to move into regenerative and integrative solutions. We'll be right back.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren. So today we're discussing pain management options beyond the prescription pad. And now we expand because pain management is evolving as well. So right now we're going to discuss regenerative and advanced therapies. So platelet-rich plasma, PRP therapy. It uses the patient's own growth factors to stimulate tissue repair, used for tendon injuries, joint degeneration, ligament damage. I actually had this done on myself. I went down to Mexico, inexpensive, and they did it on the heel of my foot, and they used my own blood. They took out what they needed and they put it all in very many different places, but I'm telling you, it really worked for me. It was amazing. My pain, I couldn't even walk, and my pain was 100% better within 10 days. I couldn't believe the difference. So, but it used my own serum from my blood, and I like that idea. You didn't need a donor or anything like that, but it was a wonderful option for me. It's something maybe to look into. Next, let's talk about stem cell therapy. It's an emergency therapy. It's emerging throughout the world, may support regeneration of tissue. It's still under a lot of regulatory scrutiny, not just the US, but mostly in the US. It's offered in many other places, though. Stem cells are special cells that can develop into different types of tissue like cartilage or bone. So it can help repair damaged tissue and reduce inflammation. So what the stem cells actually do is it, well, here, I'll just go into that. Stem cell therapy docs collect stem cells, usually from bone marrow or fat. They concentrate them, they put them in a centrifuge, they concentrate them and inject them into an injured area. Once there, the cells release growth factor, reduce inflammation, and signal the body to repair tissue. They don't just replace tissue. They often work by sending repair signals. Think of them as stem cells as repair coordinators rather than replacement bricks. I think of them as little project managers in your blood. Stem cell therapy is regenerative treatment designed to support the body's natural repair process, usually taken from your own bone marrow or fat. They're concentrated and injected into the injured area. But here's what many people don't realize. They don't simply replace damaged tissue. Instead, they act like repair coordinators, little project managers, like I said. They release growth factors, reduce inflammation, and signal surrounding cells to heal. In orthopedic conditions like joint pain, this may help improve function and slow degeneration. However, results may vary and regulations differ by country. Stem cell therapy is promising, but it's still an evolving science. By the way, at the end of this show, when we put it into my my YouTube account, and it goes all over. I am going to add in the comments section, I will add a pain management comparison chart and stem cell therapy comparison chart. The stem cell therapy comparison chart is going to compare the US versus international access in the comments after the video is released. So you'll have 2 charts there for your viewing, and please, by all means, they are going to be very useful to you. Now, another therapy, let's get back to the therapies. Another therapy is neuromodulation. TENS unit, I'm sure everybody's heard of that. Electrical, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. That's when they give you a little box on your belt and they stimulate your back or wherever they put the electrodes. And, it's worked for me. It's worked for many people I know. I've never heard of it not working. It may be something also to look at. It's frequency specific microcurrent. So that frequency can be altered according to what the person needs. And it goes through the vagus nerves. It stimulates it. These alter electrical signal patterns, and pain is electrical, of course. Just like I said, think of it as electrical cord. Modulate electricity, modulate pain. Okay. If they can modulate through those nerves, you're going to have a different outcome with the pain. So if your pain is extreme, why not? Why not do it for severe back pain or severe knee pain or something of that nature? Let's say your knee has some injury, but it's not enough to do a knee replacement. And maybe you don't want a knee replacement. This is something that you can do on a daily basis at home. Get a device, do it yourself. Just make sure your medical professional is aware and is on board. Okay? By the way, if you want to do something that's alternative or complementary medicine, like Ayurvedics or more of yoga or Qigong or Tai Chi or something, if your medical professional is not in the same thought process as you are, maybe that's not the medical professional for you. I'm just saying you need to be self-sustainable with your own body. You need to take charge, but, listen to what they're saying, though, because they are medical professionals. They probably do know a lot. No person knows everything. I don't know everything. Nobody does. And there, for the grace of God, go I, and I hope I know enough to help as many people as I can. If not, I usually refer them to somebody else. So next type of practice we can do, neuroplastic pain reprocessing. The chronic pain often involves fear circuitry, amygdala activation, and stress loops. Thoughts going through your head around and around and around. You never know. May not stop too easily. And maybe you need some help with that. So neuroplastic pain reprocessing. You learn how to treat pain a little differently. That's a good thing, actually. I think I can learn how to do many things differently. But so that, like I said, it deals with the fear circuitry, the amygdala activation, and the stress loops. Getting rid of stress in your life can be just amazing. It can do so much for pain. And even just listening to music, or, you can listen to orchestra music or violin music or rock music or any kind of music you want to listen to. If it relieves your stress, it's going to help your pain. Joy, be in joy. Find something that creates joy within you, and maybe even the people around you at the same time. It's wonderful. So cognitive behavioral therapy, somatic tracking, and neuroplastic retraining can significantly reduce pain intensity. The brain can downregulate pain pathways. Isn't that what we all want? So I just wanted to mention that this episode is supported by Medical Intuitive Insights. If you're looking for education that bridges science, intuition, and physiology, subscribe, share, and explore our upcoming workshops. We have the Cellular Regeneration Protocol. That's March 21st at 10 a.m. This is a small payment. It's not much, but it's something. Seats are limited. This goes into things with cellular regeneration and rejuvenation, things that you don't hear about through research or on TV or through the radio. This is something different. These are so many things that blow your mind away. So please join us March 21st, 10 a.m. Central. Seats are limited. Text 715-892-7500 for further information. So your body is not broken, it is communicating. So we have some alternatives to communicate back or to dull some of that communication or retrain that communication. So remember, pain management options beyond the prescription pad. We're going to go beyond that in the next section. We've expanded it. We talked about regenerative and advanced therapies like platelet-rich plasma. I did it. I think they also did the stem cell therapy in there because I saw them doing it, and it's more of that. But it worked for me magnificently. I love it. At the end of this program, I will be placing 2 charts in the comments section. A pain management comparison chart, that is a stem cell therapy comparison chart from U.S. versus international access in the comments after the video is released. I found that where I went down to Cancun. It was wonderful, very inexpensive, a lot less than anywhere else I could find it. And these people do it for the elite crowds and a lot of people on TV. They're wonderful. But, not to say it's the only place. You have to figure it out. You have to choose who you want. Check with your medical professional too. Maybe this is an option that they would support you on. There was neuromodulation with TENS units, frequencies, neuroplastic pain reprocessing. That's fear recircuitry. It's a psychological type of cognitive behavioral therapy. It deals with fear circuitry, amygdala activations, stress loops. Sometimes when that hamster wheel is going and going and going, sometimes you just need to change your mind. Get off that wheel, jump off, and this is it. And say, do something different. Not to get yourself more injured, but try it. You may be able to do something with that chronic pain that just doesn't want to go away. Okay. So then, if you would like to support our show, please let me know. Put in the text me 715-892-7500 and put in the message support, and then I will contact you back to see what, if you do want to support us, how much and how long and what you would expect. Okay. And I'll explain that to you. So, when we come back, we are going to do natural metabolic approaches to pain management. And I know that sometimes this is what everyone waits for. Whatever our other alternatives are, natural alternatives. So having practiced Ayurvedics, I kind of lean towards this a lot. I have the medical, but I also have, this is in my heart as try to do these things first type of thing. We'll talk about inflammation as root drivers. We'll talk about nutritional pain modulators, things you can eat that will change your pain thresholds and limits and levels. I mean, to me, that's phenomenal. Then we'll also talk about peptides and the role of stress and movement as medicine and a few other different things there. I think this is wonderful. Remember, in our boot camp, we go through a lot more of this. Usually we have a whole half hour at least on this section. So I'm just going to try and get it all in for now for what I could put in for this segment. That boot camp is phenomenal. My shorts and my programs, the videos I do on the live tab for my season 2 are not long enough to do a whole boot camp section. So, but I try to give some information. So there's some free information out there for whoever needs it. So that's, to me, is very important. Well, we are going to take a commercial break again. We will be back to discuss what I said, natural metabolic approaches to pain management. So stay right there. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life.
Welcome back to Medical Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Warren. So now let's discuss integrative approaches to pain management. So in this segment, let's start with inflammation as the root driver. You know, pain is often inflammation. That is to say, let's put it this way. Swelling is different than inflammation. But let's just say when you swell somewhere, it puts pressure in that area. You know, it's contained with the swelling and it's pushing outward, and it puts pressure squeezing inward onto the nerves. So it creates pain in the nerves if it's coming down on those nerves real hard. So pain is often inflammation. Pro-inflammatory contributors, you're not going to like this too much. Ultra-pasteurized foods, ultra-processed foods too. Omega-6 imbalance. We'll go more into that a little bit. Microplastics. We have a whole show on things like microplastics, boot camp show that I did. Look at that. This is information that everybody out there needs to know. What is in our food? And it's getting worse. So please look at that, because we need that to stay healthy, to know what foods to eat, what plastics to avoid, things like that. So endocrine disruptors. Chronic stress, there's that word, stress, and poor sleep really makes a difference. So reducing systemic inflammation reduces pain signaling. You heard me right. So nutritional pain modulators. These are things that you can add to your diet that will actually help you reduce inflammation and in the long term reduce the pain. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, they reduce inflammation by competing with omega-6 fatty acids, lowering the production of inflammatory chemicals like prostaglandins and leukotrienes that increase pain sensitivity. So it lowers these inflammatory chemicals. Remember now that, omega-3 fatty acids. So I actually upped that in my diet recently, and I can't believe the difference. I love it. Of course, I'm one of those fortunate ones. I don't get a lot of pain. I'm really happy about that. This is one I know, like my friends in India, they definitely use it, and that's curcumin. From turmeric, reduces pain by blocking inflammatory pathways such as the NF-κB and decreasing pro-inflammatory cytokines. That's it decreases those cytokines, which is fantastic, because then you have less swelling or inflammation at the site. causing the pain, of course. So overall, the pain goes down. You decrease those inflammatory cytokines and your pain level will go down. So simple, curcumin helps quiet the chemical signals that trigger the inflammation and pain. Magnesium helps regulate nerve activity by blocking excessive receptor activation, which can reduce nerve hypersensitivity and muscle tension. So magnesium helps calm overactive nerves and relax tight muscles. Great for at night. Wonderful. Get muscle cramps, something to think about. Vitamin D supports immune balance and reduces inflammatory cytokine production. Vitamin D regulates inflammation and supports healthy muscle and bones. Glycine, it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter that helps calm nerve signaling and may reduce pain perception. So glycine helps the nervous system slow down, become less reactive to pain signals. Collagen peptides provide amino acids that support joint cartilage, tendons, and connective tissue repair, potentially improving structural pain over time. So collagen supports the rebuilding of joints, connective tissue, which may in turn reduce pain related to wear and tear, of course. These support the myelin integrity, the mitochondrial function, and the cytokine regulation. These nutrients work by targeting different layers of pain. Inflammation, you want the omega-3, you want the curcumin or turmeric, and you want vitamin D. Nerve hypersensitivity, you want magnesium, and you want glycine. Structural support, you want collagen peptides. So I also use bone broth there for the collagen peptides, just saying, okay? Just saying, and I cook mine for about 8 hours. It works great. So pain relief is often more effective when inflammation, nerve signaling, and tissue support are addressed together. You can't just expect take care of one and ignore everything else. You want to kind of work together with everything, okay? So stress itself, cortisol dysregulation increases muscle tension. Movement is medicine. Exercise increases anti-inflammatory cytokines, endorphins, brain-derived neuropathic blood flow, and everything. Immobility worsens chronic pain. So movement recalibrates the nervous system. My message is basically pain management is not one-dimensional. It is neurological, inflammatory, emotional, environmental, metabolic, structural, and reversible. Pain is a signal. When we listen to it intelligently and intervene comprehensively, healing becomes possible. So instead of asking, how do I stop the pain? Ask, what is my body asking me to understand? So I am Dr. Gloria Warren, and this has been Medical Intuitive Insights. Text for your free seat for Sustainability Boot Camp on March 11th. The cellular regeneration information, 715. I'm sorry, that's March 11th, 715-892-7500. Until next time, there for the grace of God go I. Eat consciously, live sustainably, and heal deeply.
This has been Medical Intuitive Insights with host Dr. Gloria Warren. Tune in each week as Gloria shares over 40 years of experience and yearns to provide knowledge derived from intuition and research. Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.